grave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land.
Good morning and welcome. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. It's the 7th day of March 2025. It is 44 degrees and sunny here in California on the beach. Now, I mean, for the rest of the world, that's not cold. For me, that's too cold. I'm sorry, I'm a wilted desert flower. It's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game crowdfunding type thingies that are coming to an end this week, but you still have a chance to support. Top of the list, we've got this mammoth. Terraforming Mars, the board game, has been converted to Terraforming Mars, the role-playing game, and for $70, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. That's either way too many books or frickin' cool. I'm not sure. Maybe by making it a lot of little books, it makes it less expensive. I mean, because normally if we saw this many books on another Kickstarter, it'd be 100 stuff. So for $69, you get the PDF and print versions of the core books and the campaign books and some other stuff. And then there's bigger ones where you get like dice and I don't know, maybe for like $1,000, they give you a Mars rock. I don't know. Not only is it a role-playing game about terraforming Mars, exploring Mars, dealing with the politics of Mars, but it's also a generational role-playing game, similar to, say, Ars Magica, where you play multiple characters across generations as you start from day one of terraforming Mars or planet. And I don't assume it doesn't have to necessarily be Mars, or you could have your own make-believe planet or asteroid, whatever, and just apply the rules to there. But then, you know, you go through just one of the projects, the generations, the ages, the advancements, the conquering the terrain, the dealing with the other corporations. So think The Expanse, but without any spaceship, though I assume if it sells, there might be some spaceship-y type stuff involved too. Plus, you know, you get to watch that wonderful documentary about the Mars rover, Goodnight Opie, which is kind of heartbreaking when you think about it. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but at the end of Goodnight Opie, I got a little teary eyed. I was like, oh, poor baby. And then you're like, oh, wait, it's just a robot. It's just a robot. But still, you're like, oh, poor baby. Yeah. A ton of books, a ton of big, juicy stuff, I hope, or maybe just a ton of space wasted by art. The Kickstarter doesn't really tell me a lot. You've got some pictures of what you can get. Obviously, there's upgrades with like dice and a patch and pins and stuff like that. And awards. The art looks cool. It says it talks about the different aspects of the game and how you turn a board game into a role-playing game. And all the different, so I don't know, man. I mean, is that interesting? Do you think people would be wanting to just play a game based upon a board game about just, okay, well, I terraformed Mars. Now what? I suppose it's kind of like, Bronstein. There's that word. Where you also deal with like the various politics. So you've got the board gaming aspect and then the individual character aspect and the kingdom building. I mean, just like any sci-fi game, it has unlimited possibilities. You do the whole Mars thing and the various generations, and I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'd check it out. From Two Starving Knolls. Okay, you win this week's name for best named gaming company. We've got the Exorcist Codex. It's not a movie. Basic role-playing system, core rulebook, $80. Gives you the PDF and print versions of the book, based obviously on The Exorcist, though it does take place in the 1890s and uses the Chaosium system. It's a dark horror setting with religion and mechanics like holy faith, demonic corruption, and spirit points to reflect the world. The campaign offers a core rulebook, a journal, more books to build the world, pulling elements of the exorcism, late 1800s horrors, and religion using what considered by many to be the best role-playing game system on the market, BRP. But what exactly do you do? Okay, I mean, once I finish my exorcism of one person, is that it? Or does it explore all the possible horror things that an exorcist could deal with or a supernatural investigator could deal with in Victorian times? And then if it's just there's spooky stuff going on in the Victorians' time that's vaguely based upon Lovecraft and the demon stuff. How is that different than the 10,000 other Victorian-based horror campaigns? So I'm looking. So there's exorcism scenarios, exploration scenarios, infiltration scenarios. So you got some Indiana Jones stuff where you go and explore ruins and stuff, looking for these holy and unholy artifacts and dealing with the people who are trying to get them. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on something we've seen before. You know, can't call it Call of Cthulhu, but it's Call of Cthulhu plus demons, plus ghosts, plus Indiana Jones. From Oddity Press, we have The Wild Frontier of Ventura. Wait a minute. Ventura? I live in Ventura. Looking for a Weird West RPG that's not tied to our history. Weird Westerns are fun, but the real world elements make them difficult to pitch. But a purely fictional Weird West is one that built the history of the United States and Mexico baggage free. So it's a sci-fi story about a planet that was colonized centuries ago, but is cut off from the rest of the spacefaring society. In this world, you're trying to survive using only your wits, reflexes, and other Weird West stuff. So I guess the planet is Ventura. I live in Ventura, but the Wild Frontier of Ventura. So basically, planet gets cut off from the rest of the universe, and they have to evolve and survive on their own. And for some reason, they emulate the old West of America of all the different possible cultural things they could emulate. And their technology progresses. It's the same rate technology progresses here in America. And then I guess there's an exploration boon and a gold boon and a cattle boon and all the other things that led to the Wild West. And then you add in either, psionics or supernatural or aliens to explain the weird. $140 for the print versions of the core books, 2 zine, a deck of 40 cards, dice box tokens, and a cloth bag. Is this a card-based system? Or are you just using cards because, the whole poker card thing and Deadlands? No, it's a dice-based system, it looks like. So the cards are just for goofy fun. Weird that it's called Ventura, but it's not set in Ventura. I mean, we do have a Wild West, some ties to the Wild West here where I live in Ventura, even though it is a Southern California coastal beach town. But we've got Gold Rush, we've got Oil Rush, we've got some other stuff, so weird. I don't recognize either of the names, JD Maxwell or Per Jinky. But hey, it's Weird West. $140 seems a little pricey, but it's a Weird West. From Legendary Games, we have African Musters, a D&D bestiary of African legends. Ooh, racial appropriation. Isn't that the kind of thing that gets us in trouble? So it's $25. It's a campaign with over 80 musters based on African legends and folklore from Africa, including and apparently it also has gotten ideas from people who can, are from Africa or who can trace their ancestry to Africa, I guess. Maybe it's culturally specific hooks. Obviously, it probably has a racial and sensitivity consultant. So basically, it's a monster manual, but this one is specifically around Africa. Because remember, when in doubt, make a monster manual. And if you really want to get a lot of attention, make a monster manual that is tied to a specific culture or location so people can complain about your racism and your cultural appropriation. And you can use that to sell your product. From Mr. Tarask, this quintessential guide to urban encounters for 5e. It says $29 for the PDF and POD. Urban encounters for 5e. In this book, you get a multi-page encounters, 0 prep micro encounters, NPCs, and fully detailed stuff. So city stuff for 5e. From Mr. Tarask. Is Mr. Tarask the D&D version of Mr. Beast? Is it somebody trying to be Mr. Beast? But, I'm next like Mr. Beast, but I do challenges, but the challenges are in D&D. I don't know. It's $30 for urban city fun stuff. So you got thieves guilds and bar fights and skullduggery and beggars and body snatchers and all the other fun Freeport type urban fantasy D&D that you could have for $30. I mean, how can you not? Oh, we got some Mork Borg love from Nah Guild. We have Borged again, the collection. This is Mork Borg, Cyborg, Pirate Gorb, and Vast Grim. $30 for the PDF and print versions of all 4 adventures. These are 4 adventures dedicated each to one of the Mork Borg storylines. So we've got classic Mork Borg. We've got a Cyborg adventure. We've got a Pirate Borg adventure. And we've got the Grim Borg adventure. So all the different Mork Borg and Mork Borg adjacent games. You know, it's weird that the Mork Borg retro clones did far better than Mork Borg actually did. Many people love Cyborg and Pirate Borg, and of the many that came out, Pirate Borg is considered the best, though I obviously have a soft spot for Bork Borg, the Mork Borg game where you just play dogs, because Bork Borg is just such a great name. So $30 for a bunch of adventures. From Rogue Genius Games, we have Superpowered Legends 2 for Mutants and Masterminds. Yay, some superpowered stuff. So this is $25 for a PDF and POD. 201 Heroes and Villains for Mutants and Masterminds by Jacob Blackmon. That name sounds familiar. I think he's a well-known artist. Characters he's created for the last decade for his Mutants and Masterminds campaign. They're all converted to Mutants and Masterminds rules as appreciated and then created so you could have your own villains, heroes, and other stuff for Mutants and Masterminds for $25. I am also working for a book on heroes and villains for Shadowdark, the next product for Shadowdark Vigilantes. And it will contain Shadowdark Vigilante heroes, Shadowdark Vigilante villains, and of course, all the characters we are creating during Mega Power March. So yes, and hey, it's the first time I've seen a Mutants and Masterminds product in a while. And Jacob Blackmon, whose name sounds really familiar. And that's it. That's it. Wow. Nothing from EN World this week. There's usually always a product being play tested by EN World. All right. Well, $25 for superhero love. I can't not support that. $30 for Mork Borg love. I still think Mork Borg is a joke that nobody got. $29 for an urban guide for some urban fantasy and D&D. So skullduggery and gambling and backstabbing, but it's 5e, so it's all safe and happy and there's no horror. Monster book. What Weird West in outer space? I do love me some Weird West. Victorian horror. And $70 for Terraforming Mars, which looks weird and wonderful and amazing. And the board game is very popular and very fun, and it could convert very well to a role-playing game, or it could be an utter disaster. I don't know, but it looks interesting. It just really depends how far you go in the storytelling within that specific structure. If the story is just land, terraform, done, if there's nothing that takes you beyond that, after a while it gets boring. But if it's just basically an entire science fiction campaign that spirals off of the idea that you terraformed a planet, this is what happened, this is the ramifications, and then those ramifications echo, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then you get to play more and more and more, kind of like how Foundation and The Expanse played out on television, then that could be fun. And it's first a thing this big to be under $100. That's amazing. So yeah, there we go. That's this week's Kickstarters. If any of those sound like something you want to support, you can check out the links down below. You still have a chance to check these out. And all of them look like they're going to send you some fun doodads like dice and cards and patches and a sandwich. Well, okay, maybe not a sandwich. But yeah, that's this week's crowdfunding. If you appreciate me doing this every week, let me know. If you never want to hear me do this ever again, let me know. Till next time, have a great day.